Hello, my name's Matt. I'm CTO and co-founder at Binary Forge. Welcome to my talk about smart buildings and how to maximize your investment in technology by choosing a solution and partner that can adapt as your building changes use throughout its lifetime. To give a bit of background about Binary Forge, we're a technology agency based in West Yorkshire. With expertise across a number of disciplines, we specialize in delivering enterprise IoT projects scaling to hundreds of thousands of devices throughout the world. We're a cross-functional team covering everything from design to delivery and support. Alongside customer projects, we have developed our own products. Lightforge is a wireless smart lighting system that allows you to maintain and manage your lighting systems remotely from anywhere in the world. This is especially beneficial if you're responsible for multiple sites or buildings, as it allows you to see your installations and their current state from one customizable dashboard. Safer Apart is a solution we developed in response to the pandemic. Typically, communal areas in buildings present a challenge to building managers with respect to social distancing measures. Safer Apart introduces a system of traffic lights that allow occupancy in communal areas, especially washrooms, to be controlled to prevent contravention of social distancing guidelines. It can also be linked to Lightforge to report back on occupancy and behaviour in these areas. This is especially helpful when used to inform cleaning schedules and maintenance regimes, as it can be used to make them more efficient. Buildings are all around us, and they serve many different purposes. But how frequently do we take the time to think about how an individual building has changed over its lifetime? Some buildings will stand for centuries and will be refurbished or renovated countless times throughout their usable life. Most commercial buildings will stand for much less than this though. Typically, the average lifespan of a commercial building is between 60 and 120 years. Even over this time period, these buildings can expect to be updated and reordered on many occasions as purposes change and tenants move around. When looking at the reasons for buildings being replaced and rebuilt, it's very rarely due to any kind of issue with structural integrity and is much more likely to be related to other things. Quite often, industry moves away from an area, or an area becomes unfashionable to occupy, leaving buildings too expensive to run and no longer commercially viable. More likely, in recent months, changing working patterns due to the pandemic have forced organisations to review their office space and reduce it accordingly. Other factors like poor maintenance may force the building to be demolished, not due to any problems with superstructure, but simply the cost of bringing the building back to life is more than starting again. Or maybe the building just no longer serves its purpose and can't be reordered to satisfy commercial requirements. Whether you're building new or updating old, technology plays a major role in your decision-making process. So, you've decided to update or rebuild your premises. You know you want to kit out your new space with some cutting-edge tech like a Boss, but you know it won't come cheap, so you also want to maximise the life you'll get out of the investment you're making. What are some of the key decisions you need to make to ensure you're going to get the most out of the kit you put in, even when you change how your space is going to be used? Should you try and spread the risk by sourcing the different elements of your solution from multiple different providers? Or is there a partner out there who can service all of your requirements as part of one package? Even if there is one provider out there who can deliver your full solution, it's likely that you'll have to make concessions from the start, and therefore any future flexibility in the solution is challenging. However, spreading the risk could leave you managing multiple partners and systems that won't talk to each other. A key factor in any assessment is how long you expect the solution to be in place for. It seems like an obvious thing to say, but there's no point putting a system in that you know will only last for 3 years if you need it to last for 8. By the same reasoning, you're likely to be overspending if you put in a system that advertises it will last for 25 years if you are only going to be in the building for 5. Of course, cost plays a huge role in any decision when it comes to capital expenditure, and invariably it's linked with return on investment. They aren't necessarily the same thing though. Yes, you can measure whether you're spending less money on energy over the lifetime of the solution, but how do you measure customer satisfaction, building user experience, and the fact that some people may prefer to use your space rather than another because you've made it more environmentally friendly? Installation and commissioning of the system, or rather ease of these activities, can be a deciding factor. Far too often, installation and commissioning are not given the consideration they require by either the customer or the vendor. Whether you're installing in a new building or retrofitting, there are 3 factors that must be taken into account. 1. Ease of physical install. Can it be done by any competent professional, or does it need a specialist? Are there additional requirements for wiring, or do you need site surveys for best placement of wireless equipment? 2. Commissioning. Once the components are installed, How easy is it to get the system up and running? Again, is this something you can do on your own with the right tools, or do you need an engineer with specific training to accomplish this? 3, maintenance. As vendors, we'd all like to say that our solutions and devices are bomb-proof. We know that's never true though, so what happens when a device fails? What steps do you need to follow to get that device replaced and the new device commissioned? The first step a lot of people will take is to look at the system and assess its features. This is understandable, but a better approach is like buying a house. You make a list of all the things you need the system to do and then rank them from absolute deal breakers to nice to haves. This makes it much easier to select the system or provider that suits your needs, rather than the one that has the flashiest promotions. Last, but certainly not least, security. As we move ever further into the digitally connected age, security becomes key to the continued success and safety of any solution you install. You need to feel comfortable that your provider takes this seriously and has considered the vulnerabilities in their products appropriately and mitigated for them through design or implementation. In addition, how will your system hold up over its design life? Can it be updated to mitigate for the security risks of the future? As we all know, it's almost impossible to accurately predict the future. Just ask anyone who invested in Betamax or Decca Records when they rejected the Beatles. There are considerations you can take into account, however, that will give you a better chance at selecting a solution that not only works for you now, but adapts and changes with the changing needs of your smart building in the future. When choosing your technology partner, it's important to understand where they've come from and what they can offer over and above the base product that aligns with your goals and visions for the future. Many companies will start marketing a product concept before it's even been technically proven. In this worst case scenario, you can expect to be the guinea pig, which is fine if you know that that's what's happening or if you're willing to take that level of risk or are compensated suitably for it. Other key indicators like product maturity and previous installation references can give you some confidence around the longevity of the product you're investing in, whereas a product portfolio and how the company have handled historical changes can give you a good reference point for the company's experience in your specific field. As you'd expect, the cost of being on the bleeding edge of smart building technology can be significant, especially if you've gone all in and taken a bit of a gamble when installing devices in hard to reach or politically sensitive locations. On the flip side, you should expect your technology partner to recognise the risk you're taking and make concessions accordingly, whether that be in the form of direct price reductions or in kind with extended warranties and increased service levels. In my opinion, the most complete solution for any installation is delivered as a group of components. These could be from the same supplier or from a number of different sources. The key point being that breaking the solution down into smaller components makes it easier to build a tailored solution that satisfies your major requirements. By breaking your solution down into smaller components, you're also reducing your risk to market forces and the potential for your technology partner to fail, leaving you high and dry with a solution that can't be maintained. Alternatively, if technology has surpassed your current supplier in one area, it should be less problematic to exchange a single component as opposed to the entire solution. To avoid a major administrative headache, and for this approach to work successfully, the different components need to interact and pass information freely and securely without the need for human intervention. Technology partners that excel here are those who have a history of designing integration into their products. Do they have a native API that exposes desirable functionality? They should also have a proven track record when it comes to integration, not just software to software, but also encompassing hardware. They should also have no qualms about being promiscuous when it comes to working with other solutions and partners. I fully appreciate that this approach may feel completely overwhelming for some, but if you manage to successfully pull it off, integration between multiple different providers to achieve your desired solution can greatly increase the lifetime and ultimately the ROI of your installation. Absolutely crucial to a long-term future for your solution is the ability to upgrade. This needs to cover everything from software in your devices to the server. There are a bunch of good questions you need to keep in mind when considering upgrade paths, but the key areas to focus on are longevity of the product. Are the company actively invested in keeping the product relevant? Have they communicated a product roadmap? And what stage of life is the product at? What I mean by this is, has there been any end of life discussion? Longevity of the company. Is the provider stable and will they still be around for the duration of your desired design life? If anything does happen to the company, is there another that could take over if needs be? Does your provider have a published release cycle that allows them to update existing features, add new ones, and address maintenance and security issues on a regular basis? How are the upgrades applied? Can they be delivered over the air, or do they need to be done on site? Is your provider willing to do this out of hours to minimize disruption? Finally, do they offer support? And if so, is there a cost associated with it? You really can't underestimate the value of quality product support. And an organization's approach in this area speaks volumes about their ability to satisfy your needs into the future. So then, to wrap up, if you want to give yourself the best chance of selecting smart solutions for your building that develop and adapt as your building changes, you should keep the following things in mind. The latest unproven technology may not be the best solution for you unless the benefits outweigh the risks. Selecting technology partners with a progressive attitude towards integration can dramatically increase the design life of your solution and generate additional return on investment. To keep your smart solutions relevant, choose a supportive and reliable provider who can be responsive to the advances in technology. Thank you for your time.